All right, here we go. Myer Clarity, welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you for having me again. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been a while, but like now, like everything has like changed for you like a lot, like in a way. Like you have a new project out right now. One day I'll get my shit together and all that too. You're performing all over. You're set to like opening up for like chaos like sometime I think later on in the next coming week and so and all that. And
Saturday. Yeah, man. It's been ups and downs. It's been a long period of just like silence, and then it's been great to be back with like a bang and have like the hiatus video and then album release show, fucking chaos show now. I'm grateful for the team, just the consistency, and like, yeah, it's good to be back.
nah, I know what you mean, man. And yeah, I mean, since like 2 years since like the last interview and all that too, like yeah, like a lot of things have happened, and we'll definitely speak more on it. So to get more on this like debut, like well, not debut project, but like your latest project, one day I'll get my shit together. Like, what was like the creative process and inspiration for that project?
It actually does kind of feel like a debut in the sense of like it's a new style that people haven't really seen, where it's like, hey, this is like the most polished pop kind of like smooth singing, like not overly fringe or too much rapping, or like it's like this is candy for the masses, I guess. So that was kind of like a debut in that sense of like, if ever there's an album where like you want to introduce someone, this is like me trying to make a good impression, I suppose. But that being said, there's still a couple joints where I get busy, because it's not gonna be a Myer Clarity album otherwise.
Yeah, like one of the songs like on their hiatus like was like very dope and all that. I think the final track with you and Dio was like also pretty good too. And then
My Crazy Life One Day at a Time. Go get a degree, go get you a job kind of thing. Yeah, that one's just kind of like society is like telling you one thing and then doing another. And well, the Dio one was a lot of fun, because that one was like an old collaboration that I was sitting on for forever with Aston Clark. And then he had a line that just sort of automatically worked Dio in, and then we all ended up touring together. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is just writing itself. So then I had to give Dio a shout and ask him if he was down to, do the last verse on that track. And then so he sent over his vocals. I did a little extra beat arrangement to give it some like drama, because he had the last verse on the album technically. And yeah, no, that shit was just a good time, and it's one of my favorite tracks, and it's kind of like the hidden gem at the end.
and then like I think the DijahSB collaboration like that was also like pretty good too. And to even get to it right now, like how did you even manage to meet like people like DijahSB who was like on the project, and then also you're collaborating more with like people like Too Tall and King Jus, and how was like that working relationship with them, and like making music with them in a sense?
Well, meeting Dijah was super cool. It started out as like a virtual meet, because we were both on the Northern Power Summit, and Dijah had a panel on mental health that I was like, oh fuck yeah, like everything this person's saying is absolutely like echo that. I agree. Yes, yes, yes. Fucking preach. And then so I just I followed Dijah on Twitter, and I was like, yo, they can fucking rap their ass off. So yeah, I just started becoming a fan and realized we had the same sense of humor. And then during COVID, I was like, fuck it, like the album needs like a major name feature, and I saw that like Dijah was on the rise. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're next. So let me tap them real quick and try to get a verse before it's too late. And yeah, I got the verse back from Dijah, and it was like fucking fire. I did a little more arrangement there as well. Yeah, it's another Myer Clarity production, and it was just like yeah, we sent it back and forth. It was largely digital, but still good to just build that bridge and connect, because there's so many pockets in Toronto hip hop that you're just always trying to like build the bridge and build the bridge and build the bridge, and then just when you think you've met everybody, here's a whole new microcosm of the scene that you haven't even engaged with yet. So
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed because like I know you and Deja like connect more like on Twitter and all that. Like I've noticed like like whenever she would make a tweet and all that, like you gave like some good replies as well too, and I do see like that connection going through, and then like even with the music, so it is like interesting to see too, and then also through like our other interactions, you're like very cool with like Too Tall and King Just, so like how did those two come about?
Um, so Too Tall has been like, I first met him back in fucking shit. I don't know, basically like early Toronto days, and I sold him a ticket to like a SRH show kind of thing. He's just sort of always been on the peripheries of the scene, and he's just been showing support. So, fucking, I was like, it's time. Let's give him an opening slot. And King Just I met through Fresh Kills. We just been building the fucking machine. He's fam. It's just been like watching him and Fresh Kills work together on their project, Work Hard and Retrospect. It's just been like motivating to see that, and they're both kind of like the big brothers that steer my stoned ass in the right direction. So I'm just grateful that I got such good people in my corner, and yeah, just I'm the type of person who's like, I'm like a dog chasing cars in terms of like I'm all over the place, right? So like when I got like OGs steering me in the right direction and everything, that's when magic happens. So
no, I definitely like see like where that goes and all that too, and then just last year we lost like a very good friend of ours, and like also like a person that you could say like a brother to you, like in a sense to Skevious tips and all that. So even with that situation going on, like how did you deal with that loss and grief like when he passed, and was it something that changed your aspect with like life forever in a sense?
yeah, it's that one's that's still with me, and that one's it was like losing your co-pilot, and like there's a guilt that you feel because you're like, what about all the time you didn't spend finishing projects for them, and what about all the things you promised them? And I've like taken Skeeves on to my label, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and so I'm just thinking of all the things that I like still owe him or wanted to deliver, and yeah, it's just it's a little gut wrenching and everything, but it took me a while to like open up the old Skevious Tips sessions and everything, just because it was a little painful to even like hear his voice at first. But I've been working with his pops. We've been meeting at least once a week, and we're just going over the album, trying to get all the songs finalized. There's basically enough material for like 4 albums, but yeah, it was it was fucking jarring and everything. But to be honest with you, like the dark part is that this isn't the first time that I've lost a best friend, because the dude that even got me into hip hop, my boy David, he passed away at the early age of 18 or 19, and no 18, and yeah, that was like gut wrenching too. So this was morbidly familiar in that route, in that like once again, here's someone that I was so close with, and we both shared, this admiration for the culture, hip hop, the music, all of that, and we would just get excited for the same artist to drop and everything, and we would talk about the latest, so and so, and now it's just like a big absence. Like I don't even, it's like, yeah, it's, you feel the silence in a way. And sorry, I'm being mad long-winded with it, so my bad. But yeah, it's just every now and again you'll go to be like, oh yeah, I wish I could show this to fucking Skeeves, and you're just like, oh, I can't, and then you remember everything, and you're just like, ah. So the best I can do is make sure his music gets as much attention as possible, and all eyes on him.
And like I know like Maya Lee, who also did the same song with you, "Meet Me at the Park," recently passed away as well too. So like rest in peace to her as well too.
Rest in peace, Maya Leia. Yeah, she was a very talented soul. She gifted me my first 2 hits. Even before Meet Me at the Park, we had the song called Opposite. That was like the first song where people were like, oh, like, okay, this kid might have something. You know, prior to that, people were just like, yeah, you know, that's good for you. So that really took me into a new zone. And she was just like such a kind fucking spirit. So yeah, that one fucking shook me too. And then it was also like, you know, we just celebrated like the 10-year of Meet Me at the Park, and we had done that remix and everything. So it's just sad to think about that, like, so soon after that, you know. But
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, rest in peace to all the people that lost their lives, like in some way, shape, or form. Like, June is like Men's Mental Health Month, so I hope like your mental health is like still well and still healthy for this time too. Like, I know that with loss and grief, you know, it takes a lot, and I just hope that you're doing well with everything else too, and that
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
It's yeah, no, that's big of you. I think everyone's mental health is in the trash, but you know, it's I don't know. City life.
To continue on, like in a sense too, like I know that you've curated the releases for like his posthumous music, like along with his father and other collaborators with Apasalo Films. So how was that experience like, and did it ever bring like any sort of like closure for you by any chance?
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, overseeing all of the unreleased Skevious Tip stuff. There's a degree of like guilt where you're just like, oh, I want to do right by this, but X, Y, and Z. There's all these like things, you know, like we're trying to get access to his Facebook page, but it's been memorialized now. And then there's like certain things that we don't have access to, so we're trying to get like final versions of it for like Gmail and such. But yeah, no, it's you know, you get excited still. You get the still same sense of excitement. Every now and again, I'll be like working on some of the songs and finishing them up, and then I'll just like, you know, I'll be like, fuck yeah, he's definitely geeking out wherever he is. You know, it sort of feels like he's here in the co-pilot seat, just like hell yeah. So that, you know, that feeds you a little bit. It is tough to get all the pieces together, so you know, we're doing our best, and we still want to drop more things. It is crazy that like right when we started this, it was almost like we were discovering new videos that hadn't been dropped, and then right when we thought we hit the wall of videos, like a new one for right now, we was just discovered randomly, and it was like, oh shit, it's like he dropped us from heaven. So it's yeah, you know, we're just lucky that we have a lot of material to work with, so that we can keep giving his fans new shit, and just ways to remember him by.
Oh, for sure, man. And I mean, in the past, like couple interviews, like we did talk about like your life story with music and with everything else too. But one vital thing that I actually forgot to talk about was, you know, your role as a producer, and for you, like, you know, making beats, curating beats, engineering, and all that type of stuff too. So, how did you get into that by any chance?
That's a long story, but basically, for every like, basically, I was a rapper 1 year longer than I've been a producer. So essentially, like right around 13, I was like, oh, I got to start making my own beats. And then a couple people in like, you know, like my upstairs neighbor was part of the Northern Lights crew. So he brought me to my first studio where I spent my first 16 back when I was 12, and then that created the studio connection. So that was just somewhere I would go. I would save up my lunch money and fucking, you know, spend it on studio time, which was way cheaper back then, and just try to get verses in, you know. And so that kind of made me like a studio rat. That was like my little, you know, I don't want to say home away from home. It was like a dojo, you know, it was like a place you go to just tune everything out. And yeah, it was like a sacred space kind of thing. So that just got me hooked on like studio culture. And then I was like, shit, I need to make beats, because the engineer also made beats. The engineer was Labrat, it was called The Laboratory, from that Montreal group, fucking Common Unity. So yeah, that was like, another introduction to hip hop, and then I was like, okay, shit, this could be me. And with like more established artists like Classified having songs like Beating It out at the time, that also just sort of bit me on the production bug. So yeah, right around 13 I started asking around. First started fucking around with like FL Studio, and then Acid Pro or whatever it was called, and then eventually I landed on Reason, because this artist from Indo 514 had like all these dramatic piano joints with Reason. I was like, oh shit, I need to do that. So then I started messing around with that, and then I think I branched into Logic when I found out that like Slack of the Beach Child from Art of Fresh was doing like Reason for the drums and Logic for like the vocals and synths and stuff. So I was like, oh shit, I got to do that. So I just sort of took a lot of cues from like artists I revere and such, and then doing more extensive work in Logic as a result of working with Fresh Kills, and just a lot of like mentoring under people. Some of like one of my earliest studio gigs was actually working for Fresh Kills. I was like the intern at the Kill Zone, where I ran sessions when he was on tour. So there was a lot of troubleshooting and just like client outreach, and just thinking on your feet, making sure the song sounds dope, all that, and it was a good experience. And yeah, that led me to now we're here, and we both co-own the same spot, and we parallel work, and it's just like younger me would geek.
Yeah, nah, I know what you mean, man. And I know that you've had like a lot of like production credits from like a lot of like Canadian artists too, especially within Toronto and Montreal. But have you had like other production credits from like international or like American artists by any chance?
I think the biggest credit I have is probably Fat Lip or Skyzoo. But those are both like proxy credits, in that the Fat Lip one is a Mighty Rhino joint that I produced that he got Fat Lip to feature on, and the Skyzoo is from the We Are the Aliens joint. So yeah, I would say those are like the international ones. There was like a rough for Carl Wolf. I don't know if it ever got released or anything, but that was something we worked on. Same with Coleman Hell, but same with Decisive, but we're back in Canadian now. Yeah, I'm always trying. I had a couple swings at the bat for some pretty established artists, just in writing camps, but I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose, and also I don't know if it landed or they landed or anything, but swings at the bat, they nice.
Because Coleman Hell and Carl Wolf like great features like either way too, with their legacy like within Canadian music like in a sense too. But I also asked this Toronto-based producer and like DJ like more about this, and he has like a lot of like American international artists like on his like credits and all that too. But do you feel that like American and international artists like tend to respect and value producers like yourself more than local artists, or would you say it's like kind of different?
I think there's a lot more, like there's a healthier artist economy in the States, where like it's just because of the immediacy of everything, and just because everything is so commoditized there. I think it's like hustle, hustle, hustle. So yeah, it's just kind of more understood that like beats are gonna have a cost too. But then again, like I think people are leasing beats and stuff, and everywhere you go is different, right? Like I don't know. I do think that the beat market does seem to be getting a little more tightened up, in the sense, everyone's getting into either their own production or AI. But then there's other people that still recognize the value, and I could get my shit mastered by AI, but it sounds better when I get Gabe to do it. So trying to hope someone applies that philosophy to me, kind of thing.
Nah, I definitely know what you mean, man. And I feel like there is like a lot of like ways on like how respect is like kind of like formulated to with certain stuff with, like paying for beats and all that too, or like finding like the right beat, or like, respecting the producer in the way the process works in a sense too. And just like for your opinion, like in a sense, do you feel that producers tend to have as much like respect today for the effort and credibility that they put in their music and workmanship, or do you feel that there's more that needs to be done in order for producers to be like valued and all that?
I think like in the pop conversation or whatever, like in terms of audience appreciation, I feel like it's better than it was, and people are like, "Oh, this producer made this and this producer made that," and like, we're in an era where like producer tags are on records now, right? And that didn't used to be a thing. So there's a lot more of that. Yeah, no, you good. Yeah, we're in an era where there's like a producer tags on records and everything. So there's a lot more of that. There's a lot more front seat like production stuff, and then there's even things like DJ Khaled, for example, like curate songs. So there's a lot more love in that regard. I still don't know if like on the industry level everything's well on the industry level it's all skewed, right? So in that regard, none of us really get love the way we deserve.
Yeah, no, because like I know like some people like tend to memify like producers like in a way too, like even with that whole Drake line like Metro shut your whole ass up and make some drums and all that too, because they only see you as like, hey, if you can make the beat and all that too, like you're not getting any sort of credit, like, and even in some cases too it's like that idea of like paying for beats too, because like some people like like rappers, other artists like tend to take type beats instead too. So like do you ever feel that in situations like that, like it's something that's like a problem that you notice, or do you feel like kind of like indifferent to it?
I don't really see it as like a problem. I think it was just like, Drake was in battle mode, right? So like, whoever's saying something, he's gonna say something that triggers an insecurity to them, and so I guess maybe a shared insecurity amongst producers is like, shut the fuck up and make beats. And then maybe I'm also in a unique position where I also rap, so but no one tells me that because it's like, nah, but maybe it might be different if I was like exclusively a producer. I might feel a little more, protective of the art kind of thing.
Because I know Taz Taylor from like Internet Money like speaks more on that. There's like other people like I think what TM88 that kind of spoke on that, Sunny Digital, and like I know that's like more in the trap like scene, but like with other producers in like different lanes too. Like let's say with the whole Griselda stuff, like with Derringer, Alchemist, like Rock Marciano,
Yeah.
they do get like revered and like loved in a sense too with the way they handle beats, and like even with the whole like drumless sound going on too.
That is a new wave. Yeah, no, I feel like it's a better era for like respecting the producer than previous eras where people were very much like frontman focused kind of thing.
I know what you mean, and with producers, like they have like the key elements in making a great song in that sense too. Like even like singer songwriters and people who like ghostwrite or like write like fully like in a sense too. But like in your opinion, like what do you think makes like a great song in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone who's part of the song is like firing on all cylinders, it's gonna make for a better song, right? Like collective investment in the song is gonna take it to a new level. So that being said, like you gotta have an engineer who's gonna have, the ear for like, all right, let's make sure that there's cuts where there should be and that all the vocals are on time. And what if you try this inflection? You want to make sure that you have a producer who's doing something that's like actually unique and ear catching and not just like 1,000,001 splice loops put together or something. Like you want the lyricist to be writing something that's like deep but also fucking super relatable in a way. So it's like, yeah, like every level of the song kind of depends on the team working like extra hard, right? And so what makes a great song? Like it's balance, right? That's I guess what makes a great song. I don't know if that's like too abstract, but I think like if you're able to be in a middle ground of multiple different areas where it's like you're straddling the line between you know, being authentic to you, saying shit that is uniquely you, but then also saying it in a way where it's like, oh, everyone goes through this. That's like one element. Balance in terms of the mix, balance in terms of the master, balance in terms of like the sound, whether it's like, you know, you're doing some of the contemporary pop vibes, but you're also putting like your own unique kind of sauce on it. So yeah, I think balance.
No, sure. And like every session's like pretty like different either way too, from a pop country like studio session where you're gonna need like maybe like 10 writers to like kind of create that hit and like knowing that right stuff, versus like a rap session where it could be just like the rapper and producer or like engineer like in that sense too. So yeah.
Yeah. The more people involved in like the session, I think, or like writing or whatever, I think the more the song turns into like committee think, I guess. So like it becomes less like, oh yeah, that's that person, and it's more like, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but like I guess yeah, it just becomes more like, I don't want to say basic, but you know, just like
Formulaic, like in a sense too.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It can be good too sometimes.
Sure, man. And you know, with songs, there's like song structure, like arrangement. You know, arranging like certain instruments or certain drums in that sense too. So, how do you like even feel about that in a sense?
I mean, the song's gotta have peaks and valleys, right? So yeah, I always got like a big eye for arrangement kind of thing. That's one of the things I pride myself on. Uh, so yeah, I try to make sure that, you know, every section of the song, well, A, it's following the formula. B, it has its own little flip, or you know, the beginning of verse 2 doesn't start exactly like the beginning of verse 1. In the beat, there's something a little different, or it's an octave lower, or something. But yeah, you know, just keep the ear interested.
Sure, man. And with these like next set of questions, it's kind of more like discussion based in a sense too. So I feel like there is like a lot of like good discussion in this. So recently there's like an article on Consequence of Sound that they're planning on having like a new U.S. congressional bill that would set like minimum like royalty payments at 1 cent per stream. So like for Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Pandora, much more. Like I think the highest one is like Tidal right now, but how did you react when was it kind of like announced like in that sense too, like in the U.S. Senate?
So it's definitely like we're going in the right direction. I know that Canada's going to take a minute to catch up. So there's my cynicism. But like, yeah, we need some sort of established minimum because it's been ridiculous. Like they're just printing money over at Spotify, and they just blatantly keep taking more and more of the crumbs they already throw us. So yeah, we need like entities to step in and be like, nah, like this is the minimum you can pay, because otherwise this thing is just gonna disappear. You know?
And because like nowadays too, with artists, like they're making money off like merch or from like performing at like live shows. Like it's kind of like the set like balance, but with streams it's like what the labels like, what like certain people like tend to value as well too. And I like, this is like my opinion too, like for Canada, I feel like there are like there should be certain platforms that should kind of integrate with how like Spotify and like Apple Music and all the other DSPs can like operate too, like with Factor, with any like provincial like arts council in that sense too, because I feel like that with their knowledge and their skill set, like it might go in the right direction to even take it within like provincial and
Yeah, I mean, you know, we need like competent people in government to actually step in and advocate for the people that they collect taxes from in all the departments they say they will. And we have that in some areas and we don't in other areas. I'm seeing some municipal or like provincial music things kind of shut down. Some of the federal ones are still around, but yeah, it's you know, everything kind of comes and goes. It's waves.
yeah. And just recently, I think it was announced that the Phoenix Concert Theater is about to close their doors of January of like next year. So I don't know if you reacted to that like in some way.
Yeah, man, it's, you know, it's a bummer. Like it's one spot after the next, right? Like I feel like no one can afford the rent in this city, right? So it's just like all the venues are closing down, all the restaurants are closing down, and like everything is just empty now. And apparently it gains more value that way. It's fucking bullshit. And so it's like, what do you have? You just have a empty city full of nothing and people struggling, while like people who don't even fucking live there somewhere far away are clinking fucking champagne over like how much their fucking portfolio increased in value because of all these empty buildings. And it's like, god damn it.
Because like I know like it was like the same thing that happened with the Mod Club, but I think there were like different buyers that kind of bought it. Now it's like the Axis Club in a sense too. So I feel like it might go in that same direction too for the Phoenix. Like another buyer might buy it, turn it into something different, and change like that layout of it too. But who knows, you know?
I mean, that would be the hope, right? Yeah. You know, it's better that than condos.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And like I know right now, like it's like something that has to be like kind of discussed like further in a sense too, with the whole like Israel like and Palestine like situation too. We did talk about like in the past. I think the first interview about like your origin, like your background, you know, being like Jewish, like in a sense too. But how do you feel about that? And do you feel like if it's like something that still affects you to this day and all that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a crazy ass time. It's really fucked up to see. It's kind of disappointing that like there's so many people that, you know, I guess I grew up with or whatever, that are clearly on the wrong fucking side of history, family members and stuff. Yeah, you know, like basically I just got a steady stream of images of what was going on in Gaza, and it's just like, okay, this is a war crime, that's a war crime, that's a war crime, it's just like the most evil fucking thing I've ever seen. And you know, and then the rhetoric to respond to all of that has just been very like just not really thought out, and so it just kind of, you know, after a while you're like, okay, well, clearly you're the fucking bad guy and you're the fucking, you know, victim. And it's just, I don't know, it's fucked up that people are even debating this. And you know, like everyone should be on the same page. This shit should be obvious. Genocide is a genocide, and you call it out regardless. And you know, and then there's that like weird like fucking pardon me for all my cussing, but the like the nuance of like, you know, so there's being Jewish, right? But then not every Jewish person is a Zionist, right? And Zionists are the ones who believe in the state of Israel, but you can be Jewish and be like, we have no state, you know? Yeah, there's stuff that's like in the books and Bibles and such, but I think like starting any country based on biblical books has always been a disastrous thing. Usually theocracies don't really work out, and they have a lot of persecution in them. Maybe that's just my own bias, but I think, yeah, so shit, the long and short of it is just that, like, you know, it's a weird position to be like Jewish and feel like, you know, you hear this shit about like Hamas is using human shields and there's no evidence of that, and then you see Israeli soldiers use human shields, and then also you become a fucking human shield because they're like, anytime, like, you know, a figurative one obviously, but every time someone criticizes Zionism, they're like, well, you're being anti-Semitic, you know, and then they just hide behind the Judaism, but half of the Zionists are Christian. And so it's just this whole thing of like, yo, you're hiding behind this fucking religion and you're just trying to metaphorically use a human shield while literally using human shields, while blaming someone else for using human shields. Like, this is ridiculously fucked up. So yeah.
So you know, as we finished on the discussion on the whole like Israel versus like Palestine situation, like there was like a lot of things that I did definitely like agree on. So I do feel that there is like change being made since then. I think like a lot of corporations and companies are taking stances to give their support and focal like love for Palestine, like in a sense too. I feel like this has been the most discussed time ever, because there was like a similar situation back in 2021, and then there was like some protests about it, but it did cause like a little bit of a ceasefire for a bit. Like now, since there is no ceasefire at the moment, like it has been more focal right now that everyone's like taking their part to show their support for Palestine, while others do show their support for Israel.
Yeah.
And I do think that it has to be with the enablers that made that decision to kind of go at war with the people from Palestine, like with Netanyahu and all the other people within the defense system for Israel. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, man, it's there's a lot of people that need to be held accountable, put on trial, kind of thing, like Netanyahu. The U.S. has been complicit as well. Lots of companies are also complicit, just donating to the IDF and such. So, we're in the era of the boycott. So, we let a lot of corporations get really, 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 really big beyond the scope of law, and then they all hung out and sort of traded our futures in exchange for weapons manufacturing and so on and so forth. And now we're in the era of the boycott. So
Exactly. And with these next two questions, one is actually the Kendrick and Drake beef that has come to like a little bit of an end for now and all that. So like even around that time, like now, how did you like even feel about that?
Man, it was fun. It was fun. I like it when people talk shit. It's great. I like all this negativity. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, it was cool to see like people get. It was cool to see like them exercise the lyricist aspect of what they do. I thought there was like really good jabs on both sides. Honestly, I skew a little more Kendrick, but that's just me. But yeah, I think I think that like some of the moves Drake made, like especially bringing the Good Kid, Mad City van and then crushing that, like that was a G move. There's a couple bars in there that were G moves and everything. The Ho King whole location, yeah, it was just like always respected that he kind of has this like suave maneuvering of obstacles, but then also it was great to see Kendrick go into fucking like goat mode and destroy motherfuckers. So yeah, we got some good shit out of it. I wonder what horrible thing the government was up to.
Yeah, I think it has led to like a lot of like different outcomes and a lot of benefits for like a lot of people too. Like New Ho King, which has been like a staple restaurant like in the city for a while. It has been getting like a lot more fame that it has been for a bit too. Even with some artists like that were like kind of like involved at the end too, like Cash Cobain, who had like who worked with J. Cole on Grippy. Like that was like something that was like kind of like a different effect for the whole like Kendrick and J. Cole thing. And then Kendrick with Kendrick, he's gonna be performing at the Forum soon, and then Drake recently collaborated with like other artists like around that time too, and even took some advantages with the whole like BBL Drizzy beat.
Yeah, that was a good flip.
Yeah, and then now he's actually doing a song called like Wagwan Delilah with this artist like named Snow Day and all that too. So it is interesting to see like a lot of like different changes go on. So
I still like the original of like, not the original, the fucking like first parody. Yeah, before Drake was on it, that shit was jokes.
I know what you mean, man. And like I know that like this is like the end of like the final question too, but like in terms of like any of the music and other creative projects and so forth, like what do you have going on next? Like I know that you're gonna be opening up for KO soon and like Waterloo, but anything else like?
Yeah, so definitely check out the album. One day I'll get my shit together. We got physical copies now. We got the Chaos show. I might be opening for Philly Moves at the end of the summer for their album release as well. Hoping to do more shows with Fresh Kills and King Jus. Me and Fresh have an album in the works, and that's going to be really dope. That might be dropping end of the year, early next year kind of thing. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And shit, yeah, fucking join the Patreon if you haven't. That's how we make projects happen faster. can't even talk today. New music videos, new shit dropping, backlog of all kinds of stuff. Trying to finalize Capes 3 as well. Yeah, all kinds of crazy shit.
For sure, man. Myer Clarity, it was a pleasure having you on again, man. Like, the third one this time and all that, too. So it is amazing to see, like, the growth and changes that you've experienced and that you've taken upon, like, from the first time we've met to, like, now and all that. And hopefully it grows, like, more, like, bigger and better than ever and all that,
Respect, man. Yo, thank you so much for having me on. Oh, my bad. I slapped the mic. Yeah, respect, man. Thank you so much for having me on. And, it's been fucking a blessing having you on this journey this entire time and you catching me in these different phases. So, respect for always coming through and showing some love and support and sprinkling that on what I got going on.
Yeah, man. And until next time, man. All right.